record this well so that we can always post on YouTube as well. So for those of you who are tuning in, this is going to be the beginning of the show. Please remember, for those of you who are on Facebook Live, that's important to dance once you hear the music. And it's also even at 4 o'clock in the morning, Yvonne. And also, I would like for you to feel that this is our classroom. This is where we're learning with each other, from each other. And so this isn't just my show. This is our classroom. And so with that in mind, I want to encourage you to think about what it is that you want to accomplish, but perhaps fear is keeping you bound, perhaps not accepting what is. And so here we go. So fasten your seatbelts because we're going to learn and grow together. Here we go. It's time to dance. And I love the love that you guys are sending. Thank you.
We make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be. I'll be right here, right here. And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for
you. This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my viewing and listening friends. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are, look at that, and look at all these things that happen. Hold on a second. Here we go. And I forgot to do that. And so hopefully that is a lesson learned. So for those of you who are tuning in, and this is the first time that you have been watching the show, just know that I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to bring awareness, responsibility, and truth to be a part of our life so that we can embrace a new truth and live the life of our dreams. And when I talk about dreams, many of us have dreams that seem so far away. They kind of feel like a nightmare, almost a nightmare. Have you ever had a dream that turns out that it is kind of a nightmare? Or maybe you're paralyzed in fear. You're working so hard because maybe working hard equates in our mind being successful. Being busy might equal being successful. So for those of us who feel like we're struggling and we're using words that make us feel less empowered, then perhaps maybe it's time to align our intention with what we want with our body and our spirit and our mind. And so today we were planning on a different show, and we were going to do a show on suicide. And I know that's an important topic. And so although we're not doing it today, I do want to bring an expert to talk to us about how it is that we can help those we love without feeling responsible if anything happens or carrying that burden. And so you have my commitment that we're going to be finding some wonderful teachers for that. So I want to ask you the question, what do you want? What is it that you want to embrace in your life, but fear is holding you back? That the fear of success may be what's holding you back, and you think that, okay, this is what I want, this is my dream, this is everything that I've ever wanted. But deep down inside, there's a voice in your head that says you will not achieve it. who is the voice in your head? And how can we embrace that voice and identify the lie in the voice and create something different? So what is it for you? So what is it for you that you are trying to change? Now, sometimes we have to let go of an idea. Perhaps we have a vision of how it is supposed to look. And I was just sharing this story with a friend of mine. When I was going through my own transformation, I had just started the radio show. And the reason why I decided to go to this program is TMC Productions. And of course, I absolutely adore everybody from TMC Production, Carlos and Tina and Jamie, and all the supporting team that is there. And I remember things were changing with my show. I had to come up with a different time. It's evolved over the 8 years that I've been doing the show. Things evolved, and I had it stuck that it had to be a certain way. And I remember Tina saying to me, "Now, Miss Lily, does it always have to be the way you think it needs to be? Could there be a different way of achieving that goal?" And those words still ring in my head like a bell. Every time I'm finding it difficult to achieve what I want, I need to step back and say, okay, how can I create something different with kind of the same outcome? What am I willing to negotiate? What am I willing to let go of so that the real blessing can flow in? What am I stopping because we were created to be abundant? So what is it that I am doing to stop that abundance to flow in? Could it be that I have a preconceived notion of what I am, and perhaps that preconceived notion has a negative thought? And so let me talk about these negative thoughts before I move forward, because I don't know if you've listened to the show before. But I remember when Dr. Bruce Lipton was on my show, he was the one that started this process of, oh my gosh, there is more out there. I need to learn more. First, it was a challenge to go raw vegan for 1 month. And after 4 days, I thought, wow, I feel really good. But it wasn't that I felt bad. It's that I learned a new truth that I could feel better. So how many of us feel good, but we don't even know that we could feel better because we're so used to our norm, which is maybe not feeling as good, but that's good for us. And then all of a sudden you learn, oh, wow, there is something better out there. And that something better is not very hard to achieve. Okay, in comes this desire. If I was lied to about this, what else was I lied to? And it wasn't an intentional lie. You know what you know, and you know what you don't know, but you don't know what you don't know. And how food is medicine, I did not know I didn't know. Perhaps maybe my mom and dad didn't know, and their parents before them, because nutrition was different. But then it evolved to what it is today, like Franken Foods, Standard American Diet, which the acronym I'm sure you've heard is SAD. So with all that in mind, all of a sudden you start learning these new truths. And in my research, I discovered Dr. Bruce Lipton. And this is what I learned from Dr. Bruce Lipton. I learned that from the moment we are conceived in the womb to the age of 7, and I always say 10 because that's when some key things happened with me, we are in theta mode, which is like a hypnotic state, and we are human tape recorders. We are recording everything, and I think our third eye, that's where it all is. That's where it all is. Everything we see becomes a recording that later becomes our subconscious mind. These tapes are going in our mind over and over and over again. So with that in mind, Dr. Bruce Lipton started sharing this statistic with me, that we have about 70,000 thoughts. Of those 70,000 thoughts, 90% of them are repetitious. So the thoughts that I had today, And the thoughts that I had yesterday, 90% of them were not new. And chances are I don't even know that these thoughts are going through, because I was able to pick up this pen. Although I failed at turning off the recording because I'm doing this solo today and I wanted to make sure I had the music. And even though I failed that, I'm learning that that is not the way to do that. So I have to create something new. So I need to rewrite that because I'm used to other people doing this for me. But today, Robert is gone, and so I want to say how much I miss him and how much he is needed. But I am enough to figure this out, right? So out of those 90% of those thoughts that run through our mind, and those 70,000 thoughts that are going through that we don't even know, 80% of these thoughts are negative. Why are these thoughts negative? How did we change the program? When you are born perfect. You are the center of the universe. You can do anything. And as a matter of fact, we get in a lot of trouble. We may break some bones because we have no idea of fear. Fear is taught by our family, by our friends, for people who love us and mean well. And all of a sudden, those fears start taking over. And then we start making up shit. And I can say shit about it. And sorry if I say it, but we make up stuff that isn't real. It's an illusion. We make it up about ourselves, that we're not good enough, that maybe this is going to happen, that could go wrong. And so we need to start embracing all these things, like the mistakes that we make, as a part of the process. There is no such thing as a mistake, only part of the process. And those are the things that we need to rewrite in our mind. And so if we are afraid of making a mistake, then chances are we'll become paralyzed in that fear and not even take a step towards what we want. So I'm going to take a little break here and see if you guys have shared what you guys want. So Yvonne and Shelley, thank you so much. Ibrahim and Yogi. Oh, hello, the laughing Yogi. I am so happy to see you. And so Let's Talk's 10 p.m. Boy, thank you so much for Shelley for tuning in at 10 p.m. And perhaps you can tell me what would be a good time for this show that a lot of you could join. It was at 8 o'clock in the morning and it was difficult for our guest on the West Coast. So maybe you can be a part of it. This is our classroom. So let's see, Yvonne. That is why Prince once said, we are what we choose to listen, read, speak, become, and fibers in our life, which is why it is important to listen to healthier songs. Yes, absolutely. And so I would love for you guys to share, what is it that you're afraid of? And perhaps maybe that is where we can start. We can start about, okay, what is it that I want? But what is it that I'm afraid of? Let's look at our fears. Let's embrace our fears. Let's treat our fears as, okay, they could be warning signs, or they could be totally an illusion that is holding us back. So how is it, of those 80% thoughts that are running through our mind, how is it that we can, ignore it? Act as if they don't exist, or that the threat isn't real? Perhaps there's a different way. Perhaps there's a way that you can say, okay, what is keeping me from my goal? What is keeping me from stepping into the unknown? Could it be the fear of failure? But I'm telling you this, that until your fear of failure is less than your passion, that your passion is more, then you will always be in that fear. And I talk about we bought a zoo, that famous line that I quote all the time is, all you need is 20 seconds of courage to take the next step. But what is it? How is it that we are keeping ourselves from this next step? So I want to share a story that I shared a while ago. And the story is about a woman who was at a chamber function. It was a breakfast. And she got at the table. There were 7 other people there at the table. And when, she noticed that people were getting served coffee. And little by little, this woman just kept becoming infuriated because she was always neglected. Nobody gave her the coffee that she wanted. So she started telling herself all the stuff that goes through our minds that we don't ever realize that we're doing to ourselves. Words that we would never share to a child. If we wanted to raise a child and have them be the most creative, loving, capable human being in the world, we would never use words like we use in our own brain. So this woman started getting so upset to the point where she called the server over and asked for their supervisor. So when the supervisor came, after she ignored the server and complained about the server to the supervisor about how everybody in the table, everybody but her, had coffee. And this was a personal attack on her. The supervisor said, "Ma'am, we'll be more than happy to give you coffee. You just need to turn your cup over." And we were more than happy to fill it up. Everybody turned their cup over except her. They even made an announcement that she did not hear. But she made up that because of whatever reason, maybe it was her height, her weight, the way she looked, maybe everybody else had a different story in her mind. Where is it in our lives that we are not turning that cup over? Where is it that we are so stuck in the story that we neglect the passion, the reason, our why we are where we're at? So I love to walk on the beach. I think that just being a part of nature, I don't know what you do to kind of reconnect with your spirit, but I love to walk on the beach. And whenever a shell calls me, I love to pick up shells. And when I first moved here, I would come home with like bags of shells. Now I just pick up one because I've got way too many shells now. It has to call me to the point where I can't ignore it. And so I will pick up a shell, and now I leave it back there. But I pick up the shell and I look and feel, and I meditate with the shell in my hand, and I try to gain the energy of the shell, of nature. And I look at it and I ask myself, how does the shell remind me of me? How is it that this shell represents me at this moment? It might be jagged, it might have a hole, it might not be complete, it might be cracked. And I'll make up a story of how my spirit or where I'm at symbolizes that. And so when you come to my house and you find a shell and you pick up a shell, that's what you do. And so I picked up this shell. I was so thrilled to pick up and find this shell because this shell was so different and I could identify with this shell. I love this shell so much that it sits in a very prominent place in my foyer. So when people come over, and this is one of the first shells they see. And so I want to share this shell with you. I don't know if you can see this very well, but this is a single shell that has so much character. Now, I wonder, and this is a time in my life that I was being, when you put yourself out there, whether it's on Facebook or doing a radio show or YouTube, people have opinions of how you should look and how you should act, or whether your theme song is nice or not, or whether the show is professional or not. Everybody has an opinion. It was during those times that I started reading these opinions and taking them a little personally. I had gotten out of balance. And this shell that I'm going to share with you again called me. I love this shell. And the thought in my mind was, I wonder if this shell cares what the other shells think of it. What do you think? What do you, my viewing friends on Facebook Live at Lillian's radio show, think about this shell? Can you identify with the difference this shell represents? How does this shell remind you? You know, could it be the textures? Could it be whatever? Anyway, I wanted to share this and how it could be anything in your walk. It could be anything in your home. It could be your car, your refrigerator, anything that breaks down. How is that breakdown similar to what's going on? That fear that's holding you back, that voice in your mind that is saying to you, you are not enough. It's a lie. The Creator who created us gave us the power to create. And if we just have a speck of that power within us, we can do all things. So when we are children, we believe that. But then as we get older, we're not enough, we can't do this, be careful of that. And so we go down this route. When you think of something, instead of just doing it, instead of like, I am like on the job training. That's how I learned how to do this. And I know many of you think that I should go get training, but I think the information that's coming from my guests, my teachers on the show, is more powerful than me and what I have to, how I look or whatever it is that people have opinions of. And so with that in mind is, what is that voice that is keeping you? And if there's something that you desire, like when John Harper asked me to start this show after a half an hour interview promoting my marketing company and a campaign that I had started for my doctors, if I would have said, no, I have never gone to school, which is obvious, to become a reporter or a host or do a show, I could have said no. And that would have been the end of the story. But instead, I said, I got to do this. I want to do this. Why not do it? And then I knew that my Creator would give me all the tools that I needed and learn from. And I am not perfect. And I am still learning and growing with you in this classroom. But to me, the goal is to get the information out. Not for me to look perfect or be perfect. Perfection is an illusion. And it is something that is never attainable. Excellence, on the other hand, is. So I've got a long way to go. But yet, hopefully, I can bring all of you in the journey, along the way in this journey, so that you too can grow with me. I don't have all the answers. So with that in mind, if you focus on the fear, you will get more fear. You will get more no's, and you will get more don'ts, and you will get more red lights and late appointments and job offers that don't ever happen. Because that's what we're focusing. That's what we talk about. That's what we share with our friends. Hey, how are you today? Tell me, how are you today? And you say, my hip hurts, my head hurts, my hair's falling out. Oh, Macarena. That you do the song of the lack song. What I don't have. I'm sick. I'm not feeling well. I bumped my head. Whatever it is. Or you can say, I am well. I am excited about life. I am working my plan. I need your help. What is it that you need? What is causing you or us? Or, I mean, can anybody relate to this in your life? Is there something that you want to bring forward and something that's keeping you? So it's time to make room, because we could be really, really busy, and busyness does not equate success. So we just need to step away and step back at it and call it something different. So I would like for you guys, if you want to text me, because we're having this conversation, just us, I would like for you to text me at 407-373-5959. That's 407-373-5959. And you can do that through WhatsApp, or you can do that through regular texting. But I'd love for you to share, what is it that you want? And be honest with yourself. What is keeping you from that goal? What is it that, like Tina said to me many, many years ago, why does it have to be live? It doesn't have to be live. It could be whatever you want it to be. And so that caused me to expand and think about, I don't want to just be local. I want to be worldwide. I don't know where all that came from. But if you stop long enough to listen to your body, to listen to that intuition, which is the voice of God, that should supersede any other voice in our head, then why is it that we continue to focus on what we don't have? So what are some of the things that you can do? Write down your goals. Write down your goals and take these goals and start writing action plans. Action plans, 3 action plans for everything that you would like to do. Work backwards. So if you want to, like with me, when I went up the mountain, I went on a backpacking trip, never had done that. And if I would have started at the top, like the goal is to climb the mountain or hike the mountain. And if I would have started at hiking the mountain and being at the top, I wouldn't have been able to know where to go. But my first action plan was to research getting hiking boots. That was it. I researched those hiking boots, and I went and tried different hiking boots. And then I took those hiking boots to the gym. And I started going to the gym with my hiking boots and walking on the treadmill. And after I got that, I started doing an incline. I didn't start at the top of the mountain. That is overwhelming. But what are the tiniest little steps that you can take today that will help you get to the top of the mountain? Start writing your goals. And by the way, make sure that you have a timeline attached to those goals. So if you want to release weight, or if you want to be a dancer, if you want to be a singer, if you want to be a radio show host, if you want to be whatever it is that you want to be, then you can be it. But make a plan. Create that plan. Step away from it. And if you need to get a skill, if you need to go to someone who is already an expert at that and study what they're doing, whatever it is that you need to do, then do it. Like Nike says, just do it. Just do it. So does that make any sense to you? Is this something that you can do? Can you start small and work your way big? So let's identify the fear. Is the fear of failure? But what is that failure? That's too vague. What does that failure represent in your life? Go backwards for that. What's the worst that could happen in that failure? Is it real? Or is it a story made up in your head? Thomas Edison, I've heard 1,000 times, I've heard 10,000 times. It took him 10,000 tries or 1,000 tries. I'll have to research that. So don't quote me. I want you guys to research everything that is said on the show. But off the top of my head, I've heard both quotes. But they learned so many different ways of how the other things that came out of that light bulb. Different ways of not how to make a light bulb, but only one time. That was all that they needed to create that light bulb. But then they discovered other ways. And maybe those failures became new discoveries. Does that make sense? So as we go forward and start claiming what we want, instead of looking at it as failures or mistakes, these mistakes and failures can be rewritten over. Remember those tapes in our head that are going? Instead of ignoring them or acting as if they don't even exist, you know that they're there. You can ignore them, or you can say, I'm not even going to look that way. I'm not even going to look in that direction, which would be acting as if it doesn't exist, or that you don't even have that fear. But if you decide that you want to rewrite the program, rewrite the tapes from your youth, maybe something happened when you were younger and you were made fun of because of a failure. That might be it. That might be the reason that you just, that feeling of helplessness or whatever it is that made you feel that way, that's what you need to deal with. And then start working that plan and create it and create opportunities and create possibilities for yourself. So what do they look like? So when it comes to focusing on what you want, this is a story that I've shared before, and if you've heard it, then that's, just pardon me. Maybe there's someone new who hasn't heard this story. But my superhero is and was and is Louise Hay. And Louise Hay is an expert positive thinker. And I'm not talking about the positive thinking that you're like Pollyanna. I'm talking about the way she spoke. Everything was a positive, to the point where somebody said, let's kill two birds with one stone. And she said, but why would you want to kill two birds? So violence was not a part of her language. And the way she spoke was always positive language that we don't even know. Don'ts and do's and nots and haves. It doesn't matter what you say after the word do or don't, fact or fiction. The brain doesn't register that as much as it registers what comes after that. So if you don't want to be late, then instead of saying, I don't want to be late, you can say, I want to be on time. Do you see that? If you don't want red lights, then focus on getting green lights. So green lights all the way, green lights all the way. And let me tell you, what you believe will happen, you will start manifesting and you'll start seeing in your life. And that was really difficult for me to understand. And it took quite a few times of hearing others say this for me to grasp it as my own truth. Because I thought, well, I know what I don't want to do. So therefore, I'm focusing on what I don't want. But what you focus on, even if it's what you don't want, will manifest. So with that in mind, a friend of mine was a speaker at one of the conferences for Hay House called I Can Do It. And I had interviewed her, and Heather Dane told me a secret. She told me that Louise Hay was going to be at her talk. And let me tell you, I was thrilled because I was going to that talk, and she said she would introduce Louise Hay to me. And I was just so excited. I even rehearsed what I wanted to say when I saw her because I knew I would be awestruck, because this is someone who changed the way people started thinking about disease and how she helped her healed her life, cervical cancer, by dealing with her childhood rape. Those are all things that she shared. She didn't hold it to herself. She wasn't afraid of being ridiculed or made fun of, or sharing those secrets that we are so ashamed of. And I remember walking into the room, and there was Heather adjusting her mic, and there was Louise Hay right there. And I thought, oh my God, I'm so excited that she's there. But I knew she wasn't approachable. She did not send out any signals, so I approached Heather. And when I approached Heather, Louise started approaching Heather as well. And in my mind, I was going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And outside, I was calm, cool, and collected because I knew what I wanted to say. So when Heather introduced me to Louise, and I shared with her how grateful I was for her sharing, and I don't remember exactly what I said today, but back then I did. And after I finished what I had to say, she said, thank you. She didn't ask me anything about myself. There wasn't an open-ended question. She just said, thank you. And I knew that was the end of the conversation. So I turned to Heather and I said, Heather, I can't wait to hear your talk. And I hear this voice say, you look forward to it, my dear. And I didn't know where that voice came from. And I looked again and I hear it, you look forward to it, my dear. And I said, excuse me? She said, look forward to it, my dear. And that was Louise Hay correcting me and saying, I said, don't. I can't. No, I can't. I can't wait. Even that. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, I got corrected by Louise Hay. This is wonderful. I learned that lesson right then and there. It wasn't about the ego. It wasn't about anything other than learning and growing. So going back to what is it that you want? What is it that you want to focus on? But you keep focusing on what you don't want. Every fear I've ever had has come true. It really has. It really has come true. And there was a, gosh, I am trying to see if I can find it. And it comes from the book, the Course in Miracles. And it is, all healing comes from the release of fear. And you can insert anything you want on there. All success comes from the release of fear. All abandoning of addiction comes from the release of fear. All, just fill in the blank. What is it that you're fearing? What is it that you want to achieve? Health, wealth, abundance, love? Change your thoughts. Change the way you look at it. Change the fear factor of it and start focusing on what you want. Listen to that voice within you. Listen to the Creator. And speaking of the voice within, I could almost hear my I need to switch because we're just doing this without any interruptions today. I want to share that I would love for you to, if you like this video, if you like the show, help me grow the show by becoming a subscriber at whenyounneedafriend.com. There are groups of people who are believing in the show and want for the show to be successful. They have partnered up. This is where we take ownership and responsibility. And I've done many shows on the 100% responsibility, and I want to encourage you to go to the 100% responsibility page and learn how you can take ownership of your life, because responsibility is about empowerment and freedom. And so I want to thank my sponsors who create this abundance. Well, when I say abundance, what I mean is opportunity to share the show, the abundance of knowledge that is not in the mainstream media. So I want to encourage all of you to go to whenyounneedafriend.com, subscribe. When you subscribe, you get free gifts. You get so many different things. You'll be the first ones to know who's going to be on the show, what time we're going to be doing the show on Facebook Live at Lillian's radio show. And so subscribe, and then you'll get the 90-day challenge to self-love ebook. And when you do that, check out all the other social medias. Like and follow me at Lillian's Radio Show. Go to the YouTube channel, subscribe there as well, and then you'll have that show sent to you so you can watch it at your own time. And I know, Yvonne, you're waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, but if there's a day you can't, you can still watch it on Facebook Live or Facebook, or you can watch it on YouTube. All of you have that same opportunity that Yvonne has from Malaysia. And so I want to encourage you to partner in this 100% responsibility, which will allow that fear, that rewriting of the tapes to occur so that you can become what you want to become, so that you can embrace that truth about yourself, that you are enough and that you are given the tools that you need exactly at the moment that you need them. Sometimes not sooner than that. And so while you're at whenyounneedafriend.com, check out my sponsors. Without my sponsors, like Keep Me Safe Organics, if you enter at Lily10, you will get 10% off your total purchase. Keep Me Safe Organics is all organic, nothing synthetic. You also have First Alternative Care. First Alternative Care offers for $35 a month. Your entire household can get telemedicine, family practice, dermatology and mental health counseling for just $35 a household. And that includes your grandparents, anybody who's visiting at that moment, children in college. $35. Dr. Stephen Grable, Complementary Care Center. So if you're watching in Jacksonville, he is an integrative functional doctor who is becoming my doctor as well, so that you can think outside the box when it comes to natural health and healing. The pharmacy in Merritt Island, these are all, and Liberty Health Share. Love Liberty Health Share. You can go to libertyhealthshare.org to learn more. The pharmacy, if you just say Lily sent you, you'll get 20% off your first order with the pharmacy. Go to see Ross Clark. He is a champion. I love him. And so those are the people who are joining this movement of taking ownership. And of course, you can also go to podcasts and iTunes, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio. And I want to hear from you. Call 407-373-5959 or text 407-373-5959 and let me know what is it that you want to achieve, and so that we can work together. And I'm looking at, I just saw, Abraham, that you wrote, fear of prison holds me to not achieve my goal. Still waiting. Prison. Is that prison as in going to jail? Or is that prison as in you're being held in your own fear? That fear is your prison. So I love a clarification with that. And you can send me a private message, or you can send me a message there on the comments section, 407-373-5959. So as you're looking at that, how do you look at correction? How do you look at making mistakes? It's so important. So what's the worst case scenario? Write it down and go through it in your mind. You know, Teal Swan talks about people who want to commit suicide, that she would go through her mind, and in her mind, she would kill herself. She didn't physically kill herself, but in her mind, she would kill herself, and then the feeling would pass. And she helps others with that. Now, she's the one that has developed this, and others have developed other ways to help people with, healing their life, their spirit, their mind. But that is one thing that she talked about on the show. But let's look at what's the worst that could ever happen with your goals and what you want. Whether it's to have a better marriage and you're afraid that perhaps maybe you find out that your spouse has cheated on you, or that they don't love you the way you think they'd love you, or your significant other, or perhaps maybe it's a job that you want to do better, or start your own company. What is it? Or maybe raise children that are healthy, functional, but you're afraid that they might turn towards the things that you don't want them, like drugs or alcohol, or maybe fall in line with the wrong group of people. Hold them to that higher level. Hold them to that they are enough as well, because that energy that emits from you will also, they'll hear that one loud and clear. If you don't believe in someone, they'll hear that louder than if you say it with your words. If you think it, it just is as powerful as if you say it with your words. So we get to be careful about what we think. And so some people think, nip it in the butt. I think it should be nip it in the thought. Nip it in the thought. So if you look at the worst case scenario, what can you do to prevent it? Come up with scenarios where you could prevent it, where you have an alternative way to create something different and new when you go down that exercise of what could go wrong. But here's the thing. What if it goes right? What if what you want, and you start that process of making a decision to take that 20 seconds of courage, to take that first step, and then the next step, and 20-second bites. What if it goes well? What if it goes right? You got to go that path too. Not just what could go wrong. The power of yes is crucial. The power of yes, knowing that when you say yes with the confidence of yes, or with the goal and the intention of yes. Some people say yes and then they hide from you because they really didn't want to do it. Or maybe they say maybe, but they really didn't want to do it. They just wanted to look good. So if you know people like that will say, oh yeah, I want to do that. Oh yeah, let's do it together. And then all of a sudden they're nowhere to be found. Then perhaps maybe they need to deal with it. And perhaps maybe they're not the most reliable person for you to grow with. Perhaps you need to find another person, another group, another one that has done this before you. And now you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Take something that you really know somebody else is doing, and maybe you can make it better and improve upon it. Every invention, everything that you touch, see, smell, started with a thought. It started at the thought. And they were able to create it. And so can you. I believe that you can. I believe that we're all enough, because God doesn't call the equipped. God equips the called. And so if you're being called to doing something, that knowing that you can do it, writing things down, step by step, tiny little bites, then all of a sudden things will be different. What is it that you want to be different in your life? My viewing friends, my listening friends, I would love for you to share that with me. You can call, you can text, you can email me. There's so many different ways that we can stay connected. You can instant message me now. And so with that, the fear all of a sudden starts becoming an illusion. Because something that we fear could be an illusion. But love is real. Truth is real. God is real. And no matter what you call God, it's real. It's a higher power, source, universe, whatever it is that you want to call that power. That's real. And that's what's empowering. And that is what's within us. And so I want to encourage you to dream big or even bigger, because you will be given exactly what you need when you need it. So what is it that you want to accomplish? What is in your dream? What have you written over and over? But deep, 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 those 70,000 thoughts that you say, that 80% that are negative, what do you hear? I want to be blank. And to quote the great philosopher Meatloaf, and I'm sure that you know this song that says, I would do anything for what? You know what that blank is, right? Would it be love? Would it be whatever it is? a better relationship, a better job, a new career, a new business, becoming an actor, becoming a singer. But I won't do that. That is the thing that follows. But what are you willing to do? What are you willing to do to focus on what it is that you want? 20 seconds of courage. That's all you need to take that first step. Don't think about you getting Emmys and Tonys or you, like, I'm in the process of writing a book. I'm in the process of writing a book, and if I sit with the end result, I probably wouldn't be able to write a single word. But I'm just writing. Sue Patton-Tholey, the first time I spoke to her, she wrote the Woman's Book of Souls. She said, Lily, I did it she goes, first you spew and then review. Spew and review. So what is it that you want to do? And I've always wanted to write a book. I knew that there was a book in me, but there's that little voice in the back of my head saying, who's going to buy it? Who's going to read it? What do you have to contribute to this world? Is that the voice in your head? Who is that voice? What is the name of that voice? And Mark Mark Travis, who is a consultant in Hollywood. He helps people make these movies, and he's the one that comes in that makes it kind of, he teaches them how to write the script so that it's real. And he said that we don't have a voice in our head. We have a committee. And the lead, that vicious inner critic for him is Vic. That is the lead of the committee. Who is in your voices inside your head? That vicious inner critic. Who is that voice? Is it your mom, your dad? It's time to rewrite the programs. Those 70,000 thoughts. It is time to write the program. Rewrite it in a way that it is positive. If you were a child and you could talk to your child, yourself as a child, how would you nurture that child again? How would you talk to that child again? What would you say to that child? Would you say, you're enough, or you're a failure? Would you say, I love you and I believe in you? Or would you say, you're not enough? What do you want to tell that person that wants to focus, that child within you that craves a hero? Because here's something that we do. We ignore that child within us. Those 7 years of whether you were in vitro or 7 years that you were like that human little tape recorder, that you started making up things about yourself. Those 80% negative words that are running through your mind. Stop those. Meditate. Walk in nature. Do things to start building that child that needs that love. Be that hero. Maybe you didn't get it from your mom. Maybe you didn't get it from your dad. Maybe your friends made fun of you. Maybe your professors. And let me tell you, when I tell you those things, those are all people that planted some good, planted some bad. And when you call it bad, it is bad. But what if these are experiences that you needed to go through, that you get to heal so that your kids don't have to go through it? What if you had a choice between you taking the brunt of all the crap that you've endured or your kids going through that crap? Who would you choose? I hope you all unanimously said, I would choose it for me so that my kids don't have to go through it. unless you stop the madness, unless you stop that voice, that vicious inner critic, and say, wait a minute, that's a lie. This is the truth about me. These are the truths that we are learning on the Lillian McDermott radio show / classroom, because we've been lied to. And you know, the biggest liar has been us, because we have created this illusion about who we are and who we're not. But you were created perfect. You are a perfect creation. And if you just tweak things a little bit, maybe some people need to tweak a lot. Maybe it's your health. And 1% of your DNA results in disease. 1%. I say 5 because, I'm not a doctor and I don't even play one on TV. But 1%, according to many, Bruce Lipton, other doctors, many doctors that have come on the show, 99% of all illness is due to past traumas in our lives that we are unwilling to resolve. So how can we learn a new truth about us that isn't egocentric, that isn't egocentrical, that isn't narcissistic? And it's to love yourself without fear, not caring what anybody else thinks of you, being truly genuine to who you are. What else can you turn over, like the woman who had to turn up over her cup? What else can you turn over so that you can filled with the truth about who you are, so that you can focus on what you want and you can create more of what you want? Do you have 20 seconds of courage to achieve that? Do you? And I want to thank you, Callisto, Jodson, Callisto. Thank you so much for joining us. And yes, thank you so much I wonder where you're from, and God bless you back. Thank you very much. And for those of you who have a dream, who have a goal, share it with me. You can share it either at whenyouneedafriend.com. You can share it at instant messages. You can write me an email at lily@whenyouneedafriend.com. I don't know if I just said that. I'm on automatic pilot here, which is part of my recordings. And you can call or text me, leave me a message, because I don't answer the phone because I might be in the middle of a show, I might be in the middle of a consult or whatever, but you can still leave a message and I will return your call. And I will either return it by an email. So leave me a way that I can email as you as well, or text you back, or whatever it is. But we're in this together. What happens to you happens to me. And so I want to take a little minute. I'm going to ask Robert, if you're listening to me, if you can tell me where it is in the number where I need to go back to, because I think I went over and past, and I don't know where I'm at when it comes to the number for the song. But this is what's real. You were created with everything that you needed. You are a Swiss Army knife. And if you believe this, you can create whatever it is, because at the moment that you need the information, it will be given to you. Do you believe that? Can you believe that you are enough to figure it out? Now, don't believe for 1 second, that all you have to do is think it, because I've heard preachers talk about that. All you have to do is think it, and you want a car? Just think it. You don't even have to work hard for it. The car will appear in your driveway. That's nonsense. That's Santa Claus. And we all know how that is. So I want to encourage you to not just think it, but feel it. Because first it's the thought, then it's the feeling, and then it's the action. They're all interconnected in your mind, in your gut, in your body, in your brain. All this perfect creation that the Creator created in you is just absolutely perfect. And when you are ready, and if this is making sense to you today, when you are ready, when the student is ready, the teacher appears and the information appears. And then you realize, oh, I can figure out 20 seconds. Oh, I can figure out the next 20 seconds. Oh, I might need to consult with this person and that person. I might need to do whatever it is. So how do you finish that song? I would do anything for blank. But will you do? What will you do? Because the song says, but I won't do that. What are you willing to do to create the life that you want? The life that of your dreams that you want to create. Oh, Kimberly, thank you so much. I absolutely love Kimberly. And thank you so much for joining us today. Many times we keep ourselves, not anybody else. Nobody else is keeping us. Maybe that individual seems like a hurdle, but that hurdle is a new opportunity and a new possibility to create something different and new. To figure out, I wrote an article, and you can find my articles at whenyouneedafriend.com and under the About my Florida Today articles. And the article was called, I Am Water. I am water. When you have a crack in your roof, it doesn't matter. It could be, you could see a leak in the house and it's on the opposite side. How did that crack or that water find its way to that particular spot in your house when the crack was all the way of the other place and it just didn't find a way out until it got to that weak spot in your roof? And that water made it in, and it made it to where it needed to go. Where can you be water? Another article I wrote, I am the solution. Where? If you focus on the problem, you will get more problems. But if you focus on the solution, now you will focus and you will get the solution that will come to you. And so, with that in mind, I want to encourage you to dream outside the box, to know that you are enough to figure it out, that nobody out there is stopping you but your thoughts. And your thoughts are an illusion. First it's your thought, then it's the feeling, and then it's the action. Nip it in the thought, and you will be able to create great things. Please remember, I will be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. And if you like this broadcast, please share it. Please help us grow the show at Lillian's radio show, whenyouneedafriend.com, and finally on YouTube. Oh, and let's not forget my Instagram as well. I always forget Instagram. And just remember, this is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. And I'm hoping that I'll do this right. Here we go. Here we go.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve.
Okay. So for those of you who heard this message today, I want you to send me a text, 407-373-5959, and share what you want. Let's work on this together. Let's achieve the life of our dreams. You can do it. I believe in you. See you soon.